Finally. Oh my
Finally.
goodness.
How are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
Very good. So, welcome to the show. And how was your day?
Overall, it was very good. Sorry for the moving around there.
No problem.
I had to deal with the flood, unfortunately. I
Oh,
took a really bad hit during the flood, and but everything is coming together, and I'm one of the more fortunate ones.
yeah.
So always look for that silver lining.
Always, always. So, let me get you up to date and just let's jump right into it because we're a little bit behind. So, we're talking then today. We decided we were going to talk about online dating dilemmas. And a whopping 57%, the biggest online dilemma that people are saying, whopping 57% is that people say that they find out that the other person is lying on their profile. And people have admitted to, yeah, I lie, whether it's their height, their name, what they do, they carry these personas, whether they're married or in relationships. And so have you ever come across like something of where someone like really was a lie where you meet? Because I said at the end, if you do make that connection and you meet, like, hello, you can't be 5'7" saying you're 6 foot, and you're gonna walk in and the woman's gonna see that, you know.
Well, Karen, that is a very hot topic for many, many, and it should be.
Yes.
Transparency is critical when you start any relationship, right?
Mm-hmm.
So for me, yes, I've had online disasters to the point where I'm going to write a book.
Yes. We talked about this.
We did. And, I've actually experienced a few times, one with, they looked one way, and then of course when I told them they were another, and then I didn't know that they were smoker, and they said they don't smoke, and that's a very big non-negotiable for me.
Yep.
But I will say that I am one of those that don't tell the truth of my age online. But I do have a disclosure, and I do say older.
Okay.
Shown on my profile.
Okay, so you put that in the disclosure of when you're describing your profile.
Yeah.
So it really, it's not, so to me, that's not a red flag and that's not a lie, because you are disclosing off the bat once they start reading about you. Hey, listen, this is, my age is for, I know some people do that for the algorithms, or you may like to date younger, you may like to date older. So you want to fall into a certain algorithm, and I get that, but you are disclosing it. It's not like, say, I went on a date one time and the guy was older by like 10 years and did not tell me, and told me like by like almost the end of a first date. And I was like, okay.
Well, honestly, I've become a pro. So if anyone wants to get more advice, I'm happy to help. But I always tell you what I've done is I look at the pictures.
Okay.
And if I don't see a picture on there, or I don't have the opportunity to request a picture, conversation stops right there if there's no picture to share. Number one. Number two, if there are a series of pictures, maybe 2, 3, 4, right? I actually look and swipe. And now I know it sounds like a lot, but I do this because I don't want to waste my time. So absolutely. I actually see if they've posted a picture where they looked one way, and then the third picture down, they look much older.
Yes.
So you have to be very, very careful. You have to be observant. You have to just like see the detail. And those, I actually will take my fingers and open the picture wider.
Listen, if we got to do some screenshot work and then open it up, we do that.
I do. I even check the background as well. Are they doing this? It's so silly when they do it in a bathroom or a hotel room or something to that effect. But
the gym without a shirt.
That's the biggest one, right? But that to me, it's like, a picture with a fish. That's another thing. So I got a fish problem.
We can do a whole hour on that one. I think what a man is trying to say is, I can feed you.
Or that's my hobby. I have a hobby. And honestly, I love being on a boat, but once I start seeing that, I have very bad sea legs. So I am a water person. I'm like, I'm going to think twice about that. But, you should read your profiles.
Yes. Yes, and that's because you're dating with intention. You are actually looking to connect. You're not looking just to hook up. You're not just looking to pass time. You're not like, I have an hour, which you don't have a lot of time. Most people don't, but you're not saying, I have an hour right now. Let me just swipe. You're actually going in there with intention to connect with someone.
I am. And if they actually, I read everything, and that's just my nature for having done this for so long. Sounds terrible. I'm so sorry. When I really am looking for someone, I'm not that difficult.
It's not but difficult. difficult. It's actually, I prefer that, you know, and I tell my clients to do that because you're going in there with intention, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you need to be very self-aware. There's lots of scams. I can identify a scam within probably, if it gets to a point where now we're privately texting, tell by very easily the nature of how they spell words or the order of the words, if they're using English properly.
Yes.
There's a lot of scammers like that, and you can actually pick them out real quick. And if they're responding super fast, you would think that's really good.
Yeah.
But also, it's not. Really, it could actually be that they're thinking that they're hooking a fish.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, there are those. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff, but that's the 57% that's the biggest complaint about the lies, that people lie. But also, here are some other complaints that I've gotten. I want to get your feedback on that because we're talking about dating dilemmas. So being on an app, these are the things that I've heard from clients, from friends, from just having conversations with both men and women. Being on an app feels like a part-time job.
I'm sorry. Yes, it is. It almost. I first got divorced. I didn't want to date just what was around me. I kind of was, although really honestly, after you get divorced, you know, there's a lot of freedom and liberties that you want to experience.
Yes.
And want to, you know, enjoy whatever you can. But when I got down to, I wanted to meet someone more selectively. Going online was my best option.
Yes.
You know, I got to cast my net wider. I got to be more upfront with what my non-negotiables were and what I was looking for. And over time, I will say that I've refined the profile more and more, more detailed.
Absolutely.
But the kind of a part-time job, you really have to be very careful. You have to yourself. If you're going to do it early in the morning and then maybe late into the evening. Because when you're left, boy, it's like it almost becomes like what's the word, a twitch. You start just twitching because it's quickly. It's like, oops, wait, that was a pretty good one. Let me go back. It is a part-time job.
Yes, yes, and it is, and if it feels like it's a part-time job, is because the person is actually spending, guys, you're spending way too much time on the app. And like Denise said, you know, either choose your time, either in the morning, you know, for half an hour, or choose it, you know, maybe at night. I know when I've done the apps before, I would just do it, let's say while I was having my lunch at lunchtime at that moment, you know, and I took that 30 minutes to either swipe, go through messages, and then maybe at night again, you know, take another half an hour to answer back who actually I was interested in. So always, if it feels like a part-time job, it's because you are actually going on those apps too much. So kind of watch your time. So here's another one that I've heard. Complaint. We started chatting and then there was radio silence. And some people get offended. They feel that someone has ghosted them, that they're ignoring them. And when we say, you know, chatting is you're on the apps and you're, you know, doing some back and forth messages, and then all of a sudden there's silence. Has that happened to you? Do you feel anything like that? And guys, if you have any questions or any comments, please put them in and we'll definitely answer them. Has that happened, Denise, or how do you feel about that?
Yes, it happened to me. And I used to take it very personal at the beginning. But then I realized that I personally would be like, I would start engaging, and then I would just all of a sudden, like, life took over. I didn't come back to the app, and I just let it kind of like die on, and it wasn't intentional. So what I've learned over time is that you have to become thick-skinned, not take it personal.
Yes.
It's in the way. You don't on in their world. They don't know anything about you, so they can't really make a judgment. So don't take it personal. Just be soft on yourself about that. Don't drill yourself. And you know, is it a complaint? It's just life. You know, it's like when you're gambling. That.
Absolutely. I think at the end, it's a numbers game. You're going through a certain amount to try to find that one person that you're going to connect with. And yeah, you can take it personal, but I think because you have that automatically, let's think about it. When you look at someone on a dating app, a lot of people, you're looking at the profile and you've just make this whole persona about them off their pictures, and you already feel like you've connected with them and you somehow know them, and oh, they're skiers, I love to ski, and oh, look at them, they're in this nice restaurant, and you know, I would love to have dinner with him like this. You just make this whole persona. That's where you're getting a little too involved, and like you said, don't take it personal, kind of like almost separate yourself back. Phil is saying just delete them. Absolutely, just delete them. They don't answer you back, just next, you know, because that's it. And I'm not talking about not dating, because I'm one of the ones that I've been on the apps, and you know what? Maybe I had a conversation, and my last conversation was on Thursday, but I went away for the weekend, Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, or I have kids and I got so busy and I didn't get back to the app till Monday. It's not on purpose. But if you say it's like already like a week or 2 weeks have passed, delete them, just let them go. Because yeah, life does get in the way sometimes.
And
for sure. Personal.
And if you delete, out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah, out of sight, out of mind. Exactly. I just think people make these big already stories in their head about the person without even knowing them. Right. So, all right. I'm matching with the wrong kind of person. I have found when this has happened, when I've heard someone say to me, I've had clients, Karen, I can't find anyone online. I'm matching with the wrong kind of person. Often, what I have found is the problem lies within the person themselves, because they're not setting up that online profile correctly. They may be putting, again, a persona that's not them, a picture of off the whim that they went one time paddleboarding with their friends or hiking, and then someone goes, this person loves to hike, I'm going to connect with them. And the person really doesn't like to hike. The person was complaining the whole time, but just went with their friends. But there's a cute picture of them, so they put it up. So they're not really showing who they are, or they may be saying, I'm here for fun and looking to see if I can connect with someone, when they're really inside their heart is wanting a really full-fledged committed relationship is what they're looking for. So you have to be very clear. So I do find that when you're matching with the wrong kind of person, I've heard this from my clients, I go and I look on their online profile, they're completely not even portraying who they are on there.
One of the things that has been helpful for me, and I've actually found a few people who've gotten insulted, you get to know a little bit more of their personality, is if they have social media. I know, it's almost doing your homework. You want to make sure this person is connected. So that's one way to ensure, not because you're like just trying to be taking selfies kind of person. No, it's part of the social that we have in our communities now. So don't be embarrassed. Actually, I've done that, and I can see more about the person. I study the personality a little bit more, and it's very telling.
Yeah. Yes. I mean, some social medias you can tell, some social medias you can't. I kind of confuse people with my social media, so mine's a little like a tiny bit personal. The rest is different things on there. But I think also you have the person's name. It's just a matter of Googling them. You can find out so much just by a Google of a person and find out a lot about them. So definitely do your homework, do your due diligence. Okay, next one that I've heard a lot. First dates feel like interviews and no one lives up to my expectation. Another thing that I feel, and what's happening, and what I always give advice. When you go in, especially that first date, have fun. Be relaxed, be in the moment. Usually what happens is, the woman is like, oh my God, can this be the next love of my life? Is this the person that I'm going to be in a relationship? He seems like a good boyfriend. He seems like he could be a good partner. And 2, the guy is already thinking, and I'm sorry guys, but it's kind of the truth. How can I get to second base with her? Can I get a kiss tonight? They're already ahead of the game in their head. So each one is like not even they're putting so much expectations in that one date instead of just being in the moment. Hello, light, funny. I always say, don't go into deep conversations. Let's not talk about what our biggest heartbreak was. Let's not talk about what happened with our ex. How about just getting to know you and just being able to have fun and light, and what do you like to do, and getting to know the background. What are your feelings on that?
Absolutely. I mean, I do interviews, so it could be very easy for me to transition into interview mode when I'm on a date. What I do, I get to know the person socially. I don't want like it's a Q&A, because you don't want to But there is something that I do, and I didn't share this with you. I'm very playful in a good way.
Yeah.
And so one of the things that I'll tell that person, I like to play a game. Do you want to? And of course, that, kind of like piques up their interest, And I said, it's a question game. And you get to ask me a question, something you'd like to know about me. And now engaging in a conversation, create a lot of that. And, it's not as easy as something saying color. It's more like, what do you like to do? Or what's the best fun thing? Like, open it and do it that way as opposed to Q&A. It's more of a fun game. And, incorporate just, levity with it. Just kind of be fun about it. It's like, you're there to have cocktails and have fun. I know everyone's hoping is this the one? You don't know. No, because time will only tell.
Absolutely, yes. And I think you get that, Denise, where because you are a radio and TV personality, oh my gosh, it's intimidation. You're gonna interview them. The minute they find out I'm a dating coach, they're like, oh, great, you're using all your psychology on me. And that's really just not the way it is. I think, we've had this conversation before. Again, Denise and I just said it's about having fun, just relaxing, being in the moment. Yeah. So absolutely, guys. If you guys have any questions or any comments, please chime in. We would love to answer any of them. Okay. This is another complaint I've gotten. Oh, Karen, from my clients. I always really try to steer them in the direction of making connections organically, meeting people in person. But I do like for them to set up online profiles because it does give them the opportunity to like widen that net, number one, and number two, be able to connect with other people they otherwise wouldn't and have conversations and kind of practice that way to be able to connect with people. But this is what I've heard also. Oh, I don't like to, Karen. Online dating seems superficial. Yes, I'm going to agree. Of course, it seems superficial. How are we basing the person off of? Through our eyes, what's attractive to us? Because you can't tell the personality. You can't tell if they're funny. You can't tell if they're serious. You don't know anything about them. So yeah, it is superficial. We are doing things through our eyes. That's why I always say, please look at people outside the box of what you would always look for in a partner.
Well, honestly, I have to say this. For doing this for as long, again, I sound like I've been doing this for years. I've been actually on and off online dating, just for the record here, for about 7 years. That's a long time. In my experience, it is when I'm looking at the opportunity to get online, I'm looking at it as not to find the one, but for social reasons. I don't place a lot of pressure that it's fake or anything like that, because honestly, I've had more positive relationships with people I never thought I would have connected with. It didn't wind up further than that, but I made friends. And
yes, absolutely. Friends.
It has its merit. It really, really does. And honestly, I have not. Who's this right now? No, 7 years. We need hope.
Trey. She said off and on, Trey.
Off and on. Yes. That was. But I actually always ensure that when someone says it to me, it's fake. And I actually have someone that said to me, I need to meet someone organically. I'm in a car listening to her, like, organically. Does that mean I have to go stand in the food aisle to wait for someone to meet me? I mean, no. I the opportunity. This is what I've got to do, and my time is limited. So I think this is the future. I mean, this is what's happening. Even COVID, this was the only thing that we could. And there are a lot of good relationships that did happen with COVID. That people actually learn other people, that they have more of an internet connection, and which actually turns to fire when they meet. But yeah, it really isn't. There are real people on there. Really
yes,
are.
Yes,
you're on there.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, they're on there. You do have to do your due diligence, because there are, like we said before earlier, there's scammers, there's fakes, but do your due diligence. Finn Mazuma said, you ladies seem like some highly intelligent people. Thank you. That's a wonderful compliment. Thank you. We'll take that. All right. So are you ready for this one? I am totally out of decent matches. I've heard this. People complain, my dating pool is dry. I always say you have to cast that net a little bit wider. This is what I get complaints with some of my clients. I have a client who's in Cleveland. I have a client out of Miami. They'll both tell me, I won't go into this other neighborhood because it's 30 minutes from me. People, it's a car. Get in the car. Expand that net. Just like we live down here in South Florida. We know people from Fort Lauderdale don't want to go to Miami. Miami people don't want to go to Fort Lauderdale. They act like we're driving from California to Florida. I think it's ridiculous. I go to Miami for everything, and I live in Fort Lauderdale. I have no issues. So it's, you have to be able to say, go out of your 10 minutes away from your zone and widen that net a little bit more.
You know, we had a conversation a little while back, actually was on the show, and one of the things that from back in the day, there were only phones, right? And matter. And so getting out of your school or getting out where you normally dated and wound up marrying someone that was local because that was the only option. You didn't get out of your box. But today with everybody, and the opportunity, long distance dating can be rough, but what do I consider long distance? Something like another state. That's long distance to me. You're within 3 hours. I'm okay with that. I really am, because you can exchange. And it's like almost if you go and visit them and they're not, if they're 3 hours away, it's like a mini vacation. I mean, that's how out of my environment. And when they come to you, in your environment. So it's really not that bad. It really isn't. You got time. And, you know, there's so many other things you can do, which, by the way, we didn't say, when you're actually wanting to meet someone, doing some FaceTime with them is a pretty good idea, too. Because now you get to see what they look like, what the background looks like. Because I don't know if they'll look good. And the other thing, too, is how do they articulate? I mean, you know, you want someone that they communicate with, says a lot about that person. I'm very known, but these are just other nuggets of information to take and run with. But dating out of your 10-minute range, you're going to be stuck with the mailman. You can't just stay with 10 minutes. You have to expand your, go how far. Kmart cannot go further.
Absolutely.
You know, go for 30 minutes. It's okay. It's okay. And there's always Uber.
Exactly. And for those of us who are a little bit, you know, because, you know, I specialize in the dating over 40 are my clients, but those of us who are, Mr. Miami Cookie says, hey ladies, hey. So, you know, it may be, like you said, another state. And if you put the time and effort in, a lot of us don't have children at home anymore. We have children that are already older, you know, so it opens up more of a possibility of making that relationship work. And at some point, you got to pull the trigger if you are in a relationship, an exclusive relationship, but that's a completely different live that we can do on that. But go outside that range, guys, and you're going to be able to find. So locally, my Miami people, please go into Fort Lauderdale, go into Boca, go into Miami. It's just the car drive. Or like we said, there's Uber. I have been on plenty of dates. Wonderful gentlemen send Ubers for me because they don't want me driving back at 1 a.m. and they have no problem, you know, sending. So come on, either, you know, it can happen, guys. It definitely can happen. So those are some of the complaints that I get. But what I want to get into is these are some of the things that online dating dilemmas that I've heard, you know, so that's what we're talking about. Denise and I are talking about online dating dilemmas. So if you guys have any questions or any comments that you want to make or things that happen to you with online dating, definitely drop it into the chat, and we would love to answer and have a conversation with you. Okay, so a lot of people do say that this is what happens to them when they're on online dating. They get depressed. They get anxious. The dating app becomes an addiction.
It can. Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely. I'm just moving, everyone, so please forgive me. I'm trying to find a place that actually makes sense.
It's okay. It's okay. Jody says here, Jody the Yogi says, dating dilemmas, I've got plenty. Throw one in, Jody. We want to know so we can have a little conversation and answer one for you. But yeah, so they're saying that, you know, It causes depression, anxiety, dating app addiction. They become impatient by not getting the results. They develop self-esteem issues. They feel rejected. And the thing is, like what we spoke about earlier, they're putting too much seriousness automatically into it instead of just enjoying the process of going through these dating apps, taking their time to vet and weed the ones out. And it's so important to do that. Like I always say, when you make a connection on a dating app, you should really only be going back and forth a few messages. And if you feel comfortable enough, say, hey, how about we text out of the app, or how about a phone conversation? Some people don't feel comfortable giving their phone numbers. Guys, there is like Google numbers that you can get for free. You can use that if you don't want someone to have your real number. So there's, or some phone companies like mine, I'm on T-Mobile, they'll give you a second phone line, for free. So there's just different things that you can do. And if you have a phone conversation, I agree it shouldn't be that long. It should, maybe be like no more than 20-minute conversation, maybe 2 of them. And then from there, you should move on to a FaceTime to make sure that that's the person you're talking to.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things that I have found is going through the process of giving yourselves the opportunity to be patient, and it can be very, very addictive.
Yes.
Very
Yes.
Addictive.
The dopamine hits.
Yeah. And it's not immediate gratification. That's our society that we're in today. But one of the things that I have found is when it can actually overlap your commitment to finding someone. And what I mean by that is it's very contagious. You want to be able to go and maybe there's someone better. Like maybe you someone that was really good, worth the while to look into. But then you go into a place where like maybe there's someone better and you're not really being and that's a threat. I mean, a threat to finding someone that's really good for you versus there's someone else out better. And men are like that too. Men and women. So be careful because it really could lead you down that road.
Yeah, absolutely. Always the fear of missing out, the FOMO. What if I miss this person? What if I, miss out on another person? And that's what we say. And it's those, she liked me or he liked me. It's those dopamine hits, that instant gratification. And that's why I think we're missing out on some great connections. So definitely slow down. That's what Denise and I have been saying in this whole live. You guys just need to slow down. So we are coming to the end of our time here. My time is always quicker. It always goes by so quick. I think we had a great conversation on this, Denise. So I want everyone to know, let them know where. I told them that, you are a TV and radio host. You have an amazing program, which airs every Friday. Let people know. I want you to let them know your social media. When is your show? Where they can find you? All the good stuff where you can find Denise.
Okay. So first and foremost, you can go to my website, and it's powerupradiotv.com. And the actual name of the show is The Sixth Borough. And we are live every Friday night between 6:30 and 8:30. And we are on FM radio. So if you're familiar with the True Oldies radio station, on all of those different 6 stations you can find us on, depending where you are in different counties. You can actually see us live as well. I always say it's fun to see us live because our facial expression says we're doing this priceless. But you can, it's, by the way, it is a lifestyle talk show. So it's not radio, though we do have radio in the background that we're listening to. But our characters, we interview people of high celebrity status, and we actually have so much fun getting to know them. Karen was one of our guests, and this is how we hit it off. And I promise you a really good time. So by all means, go onto our website, and you can see everything on there. And I encourage you, please join our website. We were doing different things to win and prizes and whatnot. So, and we have some really interesting stuff. We have relationship talk. We have health talk, because the Sixth Borough really belongs to everyone. It's actually South Florida. Although I have others that say Six Boroughs everywhere, and it actually is. But so I encourage everyone. We have a lot of fun. Hope you gain some more. I would love to come back on, talk more about dating. And I got war stories. I got things that will really like spin your head.
Yes. Yes, there are definitely those. And so, yeah, definitely, guys, follow Denise. She is absolutely wonderful. Her show is great. It's funny. It's entertaining. And I think you can also, if you're not in the South Florida area, they can tune in via iHeartRadio.
Correct. You can also tune in through iHeartRadio, and it's under the True Oldies radio station. Mm-hmm. One of the shows on that station. So if you tune in within that time, you can go right onto iHeart and find us.
Absolutely. Guys, thank you so much for joining us. We had a great evening. Sorry about the little dilemma we had in the beginning, but we got Denise on and a wonderful time. Next week, I will not be joining you guys live. I will be away, but the following week I will. And we are going to have another great guest. Thank you, Denise, for joining us. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Have a great night.